Hey guys, thought I would film a hopefully quick media room tour. Let's just get a nice look around the room first. Still not perfect. I've got some overflow records that I need to catalog. Criterion Collection has its own shelf now. Godzilla number 1000 on top. Everything else is alphabetized for the most part. Right under the Godzilla collection, Godzilla vinyl figures. The Warriors poster, the 4K TV, the 4K Blu-ray, Super VHS player, of course, which actually goes to the gaming room TV. The audio from that also goes to the main system, so everything kind of crosses over. There's a Laserdisc player, which is currently kind of on the fritz. It works, but not perfect. And everything goes into the Yamaha AV receiver, and it's a 5.0 audio setup right now, but I do have a subwoofer coming that's gonna basically go right where that CRT TV is. And then, I got various stuff in the drawers, controllers, excess DVDs, vintage games, and TV series on DVD. PS5, this is the non-disc version because we also have the disc one in the other room. I figured this room has a 4K player, so it doesn't really need the disc version in here. Here's the main. I don't even think I showed the main wall yet. Over here we got Best Pictures chronological. We got almost all of them now, except for maybe 15, mostly newer ones, stuff that just is really expensive on home media for whatever reason. And then this is AFI Top 100 list. Movies, which I have most of those as well. I'm missing perhaps 30 or so. Up there is my Godzilla tapes and chronological, all the Godzilla movies, and then kaiju movies. Some adult animation up here, and musicals, horror A to Z. So that continues down to the shelf. And there's some stuff that's not strictly horror in here. Maybe it's like cult movies or just weirdo stuff. Some VHS, classic VHS bookends there. Some stuff grouped by director, like Coen Brothers, Hitchcock, Kubrick, Tarantino. And then a small Western section leading into mostly drama, thriller type movies, more psychological movies, and just a lot of classics in here. Stuff that, there's a lot of classics in the Best Picture list, of course, but that's kind of its own special thing. And then anime, I've got a few shelves of anime, starting with anime films, leading into the anime TV series, all alphabetized as well. My Chunibyo box set, it's kind of a special one. Planetis, some really good stuff. Real quick, I'll just show this CD shelf. I've got some of my favorite Talking Heads stuff here. Some rock CDs, Alice in Chains, Depeche Mode, all that kind of cool stuff. Even Beethoven, of course, you know. And then concert CD or DVDs rather, concert movies, Led Zeppelin, Monterey Pop, a lot of classic rock CDs over here. Got even more in the other room. Disney VHS type stuff. And then over here I've got all my soundtrack albums. I've got room for like 3 more. Got to show the autograph thing signed by John Carpenter and a couple other people who worked on the movie. Got Ultraman, Ultra Q, Stranger Things, of course Ferris Bueller, the jacket, Western animation, Looney Tunes, that kind of thing, and then randomly more anime, Cowboy Bebop, just because it's too cool to get rid of, even though I have the Blu-ray. Sci-fi and fantasy type stuff, Conan, you know, is in there, Harry Potter, Logan's Run, Mad Max, Metropolis, you know, classic stuff. And then that leads into actually superhero stuff, alphabetical, which continues down here. And then I have a bunch of these disc booklets that hold like 25 discs a piece, and I've got some of my favorite series like Mary Tyler Moore, Seinfeld, Simpsons, Twin Peaks, Twilight Zone. Then I've got like some action, James Bond, leading into martial arts and exploitation movies, random N64 games, which I'll remove eventually for more room for movies, comedy, including some of my favorite comedy series like Bob Newhart Show. But most of my series I've put in booklets just to save room. And each shelf holds approximately 50 movies. And, you know, I'm getting pretty full here. This thing would hold about 450 if it was full of single DVDs. And of course, you know, it holds even more than that, really, because of these booklets. Just want to show the gaming closet. How everything is on a switch box. And this switcher leads to this one, and this one's an automatic one, so if it detects, you know, one of these things turning on, it automatically switches. Got the Japanese PS2 with like a 1 terabyte hard drive in it, so it has like a bunch of games loaded on it. The Wii is soft modded, so that also has a bunch of like GameCube games. It can emulate all these older consoles, so I don't even really need all these old consoles. But I've got the N64 on the wall, the Genesis on its own 3D printed wall mount thing. I just thought it was cool to have all this stuff hooked up, all accessible. The Genesis has a like a knockoff EverDrive cart, so that has a ton of games loaded on it. Up here I got cassette tapes, some Nendoroids. I don't even have room for all my Nendoroids. I've got a bunch boxed up. This is A through K or whatever. And then over here, under the Woodstock poster and my Bart Simpsons, I've got L through Z on the tapes. Of course, Talking Heads, my favorite, and then Zappa down there, one of my other favorites. Yeah, and I've got Klipsch speakers all around, and I'm gonna get a Klipsch subwoofer that's coming soon. Over here, I also forgot to mention I got all my hip hop LPs and anime art books, as well as a bunch of laser discs, including a ton of Criterion Collection ones, and that leads into my soundtrack albums, comedy albums, and some various artist stuff like novelty stuff. And of course, there's a ton more stuff that is just sleeved up to save space. These are all Disney kids movies. Tons of this whole book. I don't even know how many it holds, but it's full of animation. Stuff, I don't even have the room to shelf. All the Sopranos. This one's mostly like more adult stuff, series MASH. No real animation in here. The Office, I've got a lot of that. Downton Abbey. A lot of this stuff I've yet to even watch. A lot of these. Dexter, of course I've seen all these classics up here. They're like old sci-fi and horror movies. My 4-disc Dawn of the Dead special collector's set that I need to find the box for. And yeah, that's about it for this room. I recently added that top shelf to hold a bunch more movies. And I recently added these little accessory shelves. What's cool too is that the living room setup, the vintage Pioneer, I can play, cassettes and CDs, DVDs out here. Got the little Sony. If I want to play a DVD, I can display it on there just for fun. But I can play records in any room of the house because, it goes over here to a 3-way switch box. And then this is, one set of speakers. And then there's a wall plate, I have cables running under the floor. Excuse the mess in my house. To this wall plate over here. There's one over in the living room that looks much like it, but this one has a volume knob. And I can lower the volume here. And that's just connected to these little clip speakers behind the TV. And in here, I don't even have really like an AV setup anymore. I got PlayStation 5 and a big TV and another Wii that I found at the thrift store. And put a bunch of games. I don't even have a light in here right now, but a bunch more CDs. Mostly like alternative stuff and soul and that kind of thing in here. And then I still got the TV box I gotta get rid of. But got like 3 more amps that aren't doing anything. And this thing holds CDs, but right now I just got a bunch of empty new jewel cases in here to replace as I buy CDs. Like half of them at least are cracked and just in terrible condition. So cassettes, soundtracks, including Blade Runner, some really nice classical, Chopin, Beethoven. Of course, Blade Runner's a favorite. I've got it on just about every format: 4K, VHS, DVD. Crying Freeman, Birds. Alright, these drawers are finicky. Some classics here. I keep very few tapes. I got rid of like 500 when my dad passed away, because that's just insane. So this is what I keep. And I got these music ones. Try to be very selective with the tapes because they just take up so much space. I mean, I think it's maybe 50 tapes here, and it's these two big drawer units. So I was lucky to find those for pretty cheap. And then over here on my bookshelves, I've discreetly got this little Amazon special projector, which cables run through this little channel to a two-way switch. And the PS4 is over here, so it still has work to do. And there's a mini PC there with a whole big hard drive on it, but it's not working right now. So, you know, once that's back up, I'll be able to stream anything in any room of the house. But yeah, that's what that looks like, so I can finally watch TV out here in my living space. And that's all she wrote.